to Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions, the podcast where we dive deep into our faith on this incredible journey of balancing a life dedicated to healing, nurturing, and giving back. I'm Johanna, your host, and each time we meet, we'll explore the stories of remarkable individuals who are PAs, doctors, and professionals, and mission-driven changemakers, from the halls of our hospitals to the hearts of our homes, and into the communities we serve. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between through the lens of our shared faith in Christ. Whether you're a healthcare professional, a parent, or someone passionate about making a difference for God's glory, this podcast is for you. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready to be inspired by real-life stories of resilience, compassion, and dedication, all rooted in faith. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a special guest speaker with us here, Katie Bean. She is Katie Bean, actually, and she is a PAC and a Doctor of Medical Science, and now a business owner of Pre-PA Clinic and Escape the Clinic. She has a clinical background as a PA in multiple specialties, including correctional medicine, emergency medicine, urgent care, regenerative medicine, sexual medicine, and aesthetics. Katie also has years of experience working in PA academia. She is eager to make an impact in different ways. She's a co-owner of the Pre-PA Clinic, a business dedicated to helping pre-PAs get accepted to PA school, and she started Escape the Clinic, a business devoted to showing other PAs and healthcare providers how to create a profitable idea, start their own business. An avid traveler, fitness fanatic, mom of 3, and wife, Katie is passionate about helping others have the freedom to live their fullest life. Thank you so much, Katie. I really appreciate you having the time to come and speak on my podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a PA, professor, educator? What do you love about being a PA?
Yes, absolutely. And just before I get started, I want to thank you for having me here. It is such an honor to be on your podcast, and I absolutely love what you're doing and putting out into the world. It's incredible. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And what you're doing is just awesome. So I became a PA about 13, 14 years ago. I love medicine. I always knew I was going to go into some kind of medicine when I was younger. I was just fascinated by the human body. And when I was a PA, when I became a PA, I worked in so many different specialties, which is one of my favorite things about the PA profession is the lateral mobility. I think it's just such a unique aspect of the PA career. So I've been in everything from emergency medicine, correctional medicine, meaning I worked at a jail, and aesthetics, urgent care, functional medicine, and then also spent a lot of time working at a PA program and teaching PA education. So most of my 14 years have been in emergency medicine and then teaching at a PA school. And about, 6 or 7 years in, I definitely started feeling like some fatigue was creeping in. I found myself wanting more, like I'm feeling a little bit unfulfilled, just kind of going through the motions, but not with quite the same passion and zeal that I had starting out. And I thought maybe it was because I was a little bit bored, so I would, maybe consider advancing my education. So I went back to school and got my Doctor of Medical Science degree, which is a degree specifically for PAs. And following that, I had kind of hit the ceiling as far as my PA career. So I hit the ceiling as far as my education, my income, my mobility to move vertically, and had pretty much achieved the peak of my career within a decade. And along with that, some pretty gnarly burnout. And I thought my next step at that point was, well, maybe I could open up my own practice and open up my own med spa. And I'd always had kind of like an interest in entrepreneurship, but never, really pursued PA first. But at this time, I was burnt out and I thought the answer would be to open up my own med spa. So I started the steps to open up a brick and mortar med spa and kept running into like all of this resistance, like
Mhm.
just obstacle after obstacle and not really getting anywhere despite all the efforts I was putting into it. And, looking back, of course, this is God's way of saying no and closing
Mhm.
doors.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and I should have listened, but I didn't. But thank goodness that He is so good and He protects us so well
Mhm.
from our own selves. And the reason why is because as my husband and I are going through the financing to open up the med spa, which is significant financing, COVID
Mhm.
happens and the world shuts down, which needless to say would be an absolute financial disaster to have opened up a practice
Yeah.
in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I would have hated having a brick and mortar.
Mhm.
It was like trading one golden shackles, for
Mhm.
another, right? I would have been tied
Right.
down to that business. And really, after a lot of self-reflection, it was really freedom that I wanted.
Mhm.
It wasn't even just a business. It was freedom to
Mhm.
have my own time and schedule and really prioritize what I was doing with my time.
Mhm.
My husband and I are huge travelers, and we go on, multiple trips throughout the year. And many of those trips require some time, right? They take time to get there.
Mhm.
And it was always a struggle to get that amount of time off work
Yeah.
to, like we talked about before, going on mission trips. It takes a few weeks to really be there, be present. And so, all that to say, I really just wanted freedom while also making
Mhm.
a difference. And so during COVID, I really started brainstorming, okay, how about an online option for a business? And I had this lengthy history in PA academia and working with pre PAs and PA students. And a good friend of mine, who was also a colleague at the same program where I worked, she also had a similar background, and we had this idea to start helping pre PA students get accepted to PA school, which is super competitive now.
Mhm.
And we had worked on admissions boards. And so we had this really unique perspective, and we had
Mhm.
all this super valuable information that was really helpful for pre PAs. And
Mhm.
we started doing some coaching on the side, and it was pretty successful, like right from the start, which was awesome.
Mhm.
And because of COVID, I had been furloughed from my clinical position in the ER, but was still teaching at a PA school. And then now we had this side hustle going that was building some momentum.
Mhm.
But around the same time, I experienced this huge loss in my life. My little sister, who had just graduated PA school, she was also a PA. She just graduated. I actually taught her. She was my student at the program where I worked. She was in a car accident and did not survive it. Um, and so, needless to say, this was like absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a big slap in the face for me.
Mhm.
I realized just how short and fragile life is. And
Mhm.
it's so funny. Up until that point, at least I did, I kind of walked around thinking that I had control over my life. We have literally no control. It's such a
Yeah.
facade. We had no control
Mhm.
over anything. And
Yeah.
life was so fragile and so short. And unfortunately, it took that for me to realize that I could never go back to the life I had been living before
Mhm.
then. Like everything changed
Mhm.
in that moment. And then so I'm grieving, I'm going through this horrible loss. This light has been taken out of the
Mhm.
world.
Yeah.
And then kind of the last card and the house fell. And I
Mhm.
was fired from the PA school where I was teaching, and never, I mean, it was comical because never in a million years did I ever
Mhm.
think I would be fired from a job. I'm a high achiever, I'm a
Mhm.
great employee.
Mhm.
And two, that I would be fired from a job where because I was helping other people.
Right.
And so the reason that the PA program laid me off was because I had started this side hustle to help pre PAs. And I remember
Oh.
being called early into work that day, sitting down at the conference table, and the program director is there, and my supervisor is there, and they slide this screenshot printout of our website across the table and told me to gather my belongings and leave immediately.
Oh
And
my
I actually
goodness.
laughed. I knew that because of this instance, they had basically guaranteed my success in this business, right? Because nothing lights a fire under you quite like something like that.
Exactly.
And it was such a beautiful gift that God dropped into my lap, because it was a violent shove off the cliff into the unknown of running a business.
Right.
And, turning the side hustle into a business. And I don't know, looking back, would I have had the courage to go all in without that, with that final shove. And I don't know, but I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for being fired, because it really forced me to be courageous and to be resourceful and to really trust God. Like that, I think, is the biggest thing that I learned throughout that entire time, is to truly just surrender to his plan. And God he's just so good. He has just been there every step of the way. His hand has been all over this. Because the business, that got me fired a few years ago, it took off. It's continued to grow and scale. I'm being able to make an impact and create my own schedule, and just, I can't believe this gets to be my life. And so opening a business transformed my entire life, and it opened up a totally new world that I want to shout from the rooftops to every PA and healthcare provider, physician, physical therapist, everybody, that you can start and grow a thriving business that makes a huge impact in the world, where you can make more money than you ever made in clinic, that lets you leave clinic and create your own schedule and spend your time really doing the things that you love, and with the people you love, that you don't have to have business experience, that it doesn't have to take a ton of time or be hard. And so, so that is kind of my journey up until this point. So Pre-PA Clinic was the first business I started, and then that opened up the way for Escape the Clinic, where I now teach providers how to develop their own idea that's profitable and then start their business, even though they have no business experience.
Yeah. Wow. That's just such an amazing story, Katie. And there's so much in your story. Everything from being such an overachiever and succeeding in every aspect of your life, to facing such hardship and challenge and such difficulties and loss, the grief of your sisters, after even she was succeeding and doing so much with her life. That was so, I can't even imagine just the loss of that. How do you overcome hardships? I know you mentioned a little bit, but how did you learn to cope with the hardships and challenges and overcoming it?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And for me personally, it is my faith. It's multiple things, but first and foremost, it is my faith, and knowing that God is good always. And, even when my sister passed and going through that, never questioning God's goodness, still feeling the feelings, right? The anger and the, why, kind of thing, but always knowing that God is so, so good no matter what, and that he's got me. And that is a daily cross for me to bear. That is, it is hard for me to surrender. And, that's another thing that I've learned, throughout my whole journey, is to just surrender to God and let him take control. And it will be better than anything I can imagine, but it's so hard to do, right? I'm very type A, just like pretty much every other PA out there. I, am a recovering perfectionist, and it is so hard to do. So faith, number one. And two, I have an incredible support system. My husband is literally the most amazing man in the entire world. He has supported every crazy idea where I'm like, hey, I feel called to, do this, that, and that. And he's like, yeah, you've got this. You can do this. Let's make that happen. And he's just a light in my life. And so having faith, number one, to answer your question, is huge in getting over hardships and whatever life throws your way, because it's not, if it's going to happen, it's when. It's just life, right? We we get thrown down, and being able to, pick yourself back up, or to be carried,
Hmm.
picked back up by God. So faith
Yeah.
is huge. And then two, a wonderful support system.
Yeah. That's so key. And, speaking of faith, sometimes, it's amazing how like God used, or you were able to see the goodness despite the hardships of your sister, and even, the goodness in the Lord despite having to leave your other job too, that, and so like, that seeing the goodness of the Lord despite all the trials we face is so huge, because we know that He is always good, and that He um, does have a good hope and a future for each and every one of our lives, if we have faith in Him. And so that's pretty great that you have that perspective. That perspective in life is so important. Um, did you have like a big dream in particular, or like what kept you driven? What keeps you going despite your challenges? Like, was it this business was your big dream, or was it something else? How did this become your big dream?
Yeah, I I have so many dreams. I'm very multi-passionate, and I think that when I was working and hustling and grinding, that I
Mhm.
knew that there was something better and more, and that this wasn't all that it was meant to be for the next 30, 40 years of my life until I retire.
Mhm.
And I've always kind of lived by the live life to your fullest, make every day count.
Mhm.
I've always had a very adventurous spirit as well. I adore traveling. It's one of my
Mhm.
passions. I love exploring. I love going
Mhm.
to far flung places
Mhm.
that are really hard to reach. And so
Yeah.
my dream back then was to spend as much time with the people I love while being able to travel the world. But
Mhm.
as a PA, that's very, very hard to do if you're working clinic, especially in the culture that we live in. You
Mhm.
get, your 10 days of PTO, and that's it,
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. And one of the reasons I went into emergency medicine, besides it being super fun when I first became a PA,
Mhm.
it was very fun and engaging and
Mhm.
interesting and exciting. But the other reason why is because the schedule is so great. And so my full time contract then was 10 shifts a month, which is like nothing. And
Mhm.
so I would kind of stack
Right.
them so that I could
Mhm.
have these bulks of time off.
Mhm.
And so really like traveling and being with the people I love was my
Mhm.
ultimate dream. In addition to like, I really wanted to be able to continue making an impact. So yes, I, was making an impact as much as I could in patient care,
Mhm.
but how could I do that in a different way? And then that kind of all, snowballed and then morphed into what it is today.
Mhm. And I know you had mentioned how you started the prepaid clinic, and like how was it like, you know, getting to the actual start of the prepaid clinic? I know you had a friend who's a co-founder, but like how was it like getting into the nitty-gritty of starting that business?
Yeah. So I have this motto that I attribute to one of my business coaches, and it helped me so much for like anyone listening who's like, man, like this sounds amazing. I am considering starting a business. And the hardest part is the first step.
Mhm.
And I think one of the biggest reasons, especially for the type of personalities that go into healthcare, is that we're perfectionists.
Mhm.
We're type A's. And so my business mentor kind of passed this motto down, which is to do it messy.
Mhm.
And it is something that I use literally every single day, because if everything has to be perfect for me to post a sales page or make an offer or
Mhm.
whatever it is that I'm doing, it would never get done, right?
Mhm.
Because we're so hard on ourselves and
Yeah.
so hard on our work.
Mhm.
And so doing it messy was a huge, huge thing for me. Once I had that in place, then it's just about, okay, I'm going to put it out there. And when it comes down to it, like people do not care what your website looks like. They don't care about, how perfect your grammar is, whatever.
Mhm.
Yes, there's a place for all of those things, but what they truly care about is impact. They truly care that you're helping them, that they can connect with you. They care about authenticity. And so once that was kind of like my aha moment, and what really got the ball rolling is to just take the first step and to do it messy. And not only that, but to be okay with failure. And that is another huge thing. Like with healthcare providers, we do not like to fail. I mean, we are straight A students all the way. We want every patient to be happy and satisfied. And so being okay with sitting in a failure and not making it mean anything about you as a person and using it as breadcrumbs, as a learning lesson. Okay, so that was a total failure. Was it the copy? Was it the marketing? Did, what fell flat?
Right.
Was it how I'm talking with my audience? What is it? And making it more about learning, okay, I'm going to learn what went wrong here so that I can apply it next, as opposed to making failure something about me, right? Because it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
So yeah, doing it messy, being okay with failure. And I can't even, for those of your listeners who are, scared of failure, and it is so scary. I totally feel you, but thousands and thousands of dollars and thousands of people impacted have been on the other side of a few failures in my business. And so if I wouldn't have pushed through those failures, sat with it, and became really comfortable with failing, those successes and that impact would have never happened.
Yeah, that's so key, because it's not about us as a person. It's about learning from what the mistakes were made and creating a solution, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's that attitude of learning from the mistakes and just changing things up again. Yeah, that's so key. But I love it because we've all failed. We've all failed in one way or the other. Sometimes we don't want to admit it. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you have 3 kids, you mentioned. So how is it balancing motherhood and business? And I guess you're not practicing as a PA anymore, right?
No, I am no longer practicing as a PA in clinic anymore. And yes, I am bonus mom of 3 children. So my husband's a bit older than I am. He was married previously, and he has 3 amazing children that I have been so blessed to be able to raise as a bonus mom. And you asked, how it was to juggle. And I have to admit that I didn't. It is one of my biggest regrets looking back over my life, is that when I became bonus mom, the kids, there's twins who were 6 and the oldest one was 8 years old. And I've always been very career driven. And at that time, I thought that was the best way. And so I spent a good majority of their teenage years, and yes, totally providing an incredible future for them. And I'll never regret that. They've been able to go on mission trips, and they've been able to pursue their passions with the income that I was making. And so I will never regret that. But looking back, I do regret that I was never always there. I missed holidays in the ER. You miss holidays, you work evenings. So you miss the recitals, you miss the practices, you miss the games, you miss the Christmases. And it is one of my deepest regrets in life. And I wish that I would have had the calling and the courage to pursue an online business where I could have been with my kids all the time, with my family all the time, and not miss anything. And the kids today were empty nesters. They're all out of the house and pursuing their own adult lives, and they have incredible work ethic. But I do wonder how things might have been different if I wouldn't had prioritized. And when I say that, if you would have asked me back then, old Katie, clinic Katie, what are your priorities? I would have said, God, faith, family. But from the outside looking in, did my schedule actually reflect that? And no, it did not. What my priorities actually looked like was work, clinic, and then whatever's left over, family gets and God gets, right? And that is like one of, again, my biggest regrets in life, is that I didn't step forward as at that time so that I could have been with my family more.
Yeah. That is something that I think we all, kind of face though, and all kind of have felt guilty about too. Because as a PA, you're in clinic or in hospitals, you're in the ER, you're working, 8 to 12 to 13, 14 hours. And so it's hard because we all feel that, even if we do have that God faith family,
Sure.
and we all feel like we sometimes miss out, but it's so true. Like, we prioritizing and trying to find that thing, that way to be able to prioritize your life better. And I love that you've been able to find that now. And you're teaching others to be able to find that now too through your Escape the Clinic. And I really love that because I've been listening to your podcast too, and I've been learning a lot. And, there's so many dreams, just like you, we're all kind of sometimes multi dreams or faceted, where we have so many. And so there's hopefully a way that we can find that escape from the clinic, just like you have.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, it is. It's so fun. And it's kind of a, I guess, a misnomer, a misconception. Like I don't think that everybody should leave clinic.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But I do want to show providers that there's a different way. If they are burned out, if they are missing their family, if they have these other dreams that they've had to put on the back burner, like I want to show them that there's another way. And even if you never left clinic, even if you worked full time but still had a side hustle where you were able to make an impact in a different way, at least you have the freedom to choose. I want to give people the freedom to choose and to show them how that's so possible for them, that it's not too late, that you don't have to have business experience or anything like that. And that business truly is just making an impact and helping somebody solve a problem that they have. That is literally what business is.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, it is important because otherwise we're just in this mindset and life where we're just like work till we almost die and then we retire and then we can't really enjoy life. And we've missed out on so much, and so much of our kids' lives too, because we're so focused on just making money just to survive, or just making so much money, or, we're just working. But we do have to kind of flip the script and kind of change our mindset that maybe there are other ways to, enjoy life, to work, a different way to work, so that we're not so stuck in a way, with just one way. There are other ways to have a different kind of life, or have the opportunity to take more advantage in life to enjoy the present,
1,000%.
And so, so what do you love about starting your business? And I mean, I guess I could probably guess, obviously it's the freedom, but what else do you love about it? Or
yeah. So yes, definitely the freedom to create my own schedule. And I love making an impact in a different way. So like it is, when you help other people's dreams come true, there are very few things in life more fulfilling than that. Very few things more fulfilling than getting an email or a DM, either, with my first business. Oh my gosh, I have a 2.9 GPA and I got into PA school. Or, in this business, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. I made my first sale. And, and creating creating that freedom, but also just showing people that there's a way to achieve their dreams. And so that is, I think, one of my absolute favorite things is when you get to help somebody else's dreams come true. That's amazing. The freedom obviously is amazing, to create my own schedule. And then I also really love the opportunity to be creative. And when I was first starting out, I thought that everything kind of had to fit into this mold. Like your marketing fits into this mold and your copy
Mhm.
fits into this mold, and these are the rules to go by.
Mhm.
But that is not the case, as I've found. And you get to be as creative as you want to be. And
Mhm.
it's fun. It's fun to use your brain in a different way
Mhm.
than I had ever used it before when I was practicing in medicine, where medicine is like, okay, this is the workup, this is the diagnosis, this is the first line treatment. And
Mhm.
now, you can go anyway. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe this works really well, or we could try this over here, or
Mhm.
all right, how can I serve even more? How can I help them overcome this other thing in a
Mhm.
new, fun, creative way? And I
Mhm.
think the creativity is also a really, really fun part of having a business.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very true because you have to rely on that creativity to continue continually kind of adapting to the changes in um, ways that your business has to kind of be presented or work for each audience, I suppose. Um, and so, what advice would you give to those thinking about pursuing their dreams and goals that they may have had on the back burner?
Hmm. So we've touched on a few of them.
Hmm.
One, just do it messy. Just get started. Take
Hmm.
one step every single day towards your dream,
Hmm.
whatever that dream looks like for you. Just start. Just take a step a day
Hmm.
and do it messy. Like get rid of perfectionism. Like, it's a dream killer. So do it
Yeah.
messy. Also, again, be okay to fail. It's be all right. Be okay with sitting in a failure and not making it mean anything about you at all, but just kind of the breadcrumbs to what the solution is.
Hmm.
And that it's completely okay to fail. And then the other one is that I feel like comes up quite a bit is imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
And so many people that I work with are like, who am I to do this? I don't have any experience. I'm not an expert. But that is not what business is about, right? And so
Hmm.
yes, you're going to have experts in any field,
Hmm.
or any industry, but every single person has their own unique skills, their
Hmm.
own personal and professional experiences that only they have lived through.
Hmm.
And the right people who will love what they're offering, who will love the business they build, need to
Hmm.
hear from that specific person.
Hmm.
Like people don't resonate with every single person in the industry, right? People have
Hmm.
specific other people that they resonate with, that they
Hmm.
align with, and those people are waiting to hear your story. And
Yeah.
so what I like to respond back is, who are you not to do this? If
Yeah.
you have a story and a way to help people overcome something, who are you to not do that, right? Who
Hmm.
are you to hold that back from making an impact in the world and helping people in your own unique way?
Hmm.
And so don't let imposter syndrome sneak in. And it always sneaks in different ways. And
Hmm.
it's something I still to this day struggle with. But make sure that you just are cognizant of it, that you're aware of it, so that when it does come up, you are able to recognize it for what it is and not
Yeah.
let it hold you back.
Yeah. That's so key. And I love that. Because we all we all face that. We all feel like, oh, we're totally not, X, Y, and Z, or but we just gotta start, gotta do it. As you said, everyone has their own unique strengths and um, advice, abilities, and things that they have. That's awesome. How would you encourage others who are juggling and balancing family, career, and life? And
Hmm. Yeah, so be super, super intentional with your time. If you actually look at your day, there's probably a lot of time leaks that are happening,
yeah.
meaning like, are you getting on social media and
Hmm.
scrolling?
Hmm.
What are you really doing with your free time? Is it
Hmm.
Netflix in the afternoons to relax, to
Hmm.
um, is that your kind of downtime? So be super intentional with your time. And, starting a business does take time. It takes time to set up. And being intentional about where your time goes and devoting it to what you truly do prioritize while also keeping your vision in mind. So keep that vision of where you want to be in 2 years and 3 years. Do you want to be out of clinic? Do you want to make your own schedule? Do you want to be traveling the world? Do you want to be spending time with your family and your kids? Do you want to pick them up from school every day? Do you whatever it is that your dream life looks like, keeping that in mind and then basing your time and decisions around that. And so getting rid of any time leaks and being super intentional with time that you have.
Yeah, that is so important because time management is everything. Leave us with the last words of advice on how we can find hope in hardships and keep dreaming big.
So for me, faith, number one, just keeping your relationship and that intimacy with God growing is key. It's number one, because if you just keep your eyes on him and let him lead, then you can't fail, right? Like you just can't fail. He's got plans and ways beyond anything you can imagine. And when I finally learned how to, and I'm still learning, it is a daily process to surrender my plans to his. More greatness comes out of that than anything that I could have concocted myself. So number one, like for sure, God, like he's got to be first and foremost, and to just seek him and keep growing in that relationship. And finally, like resilience and grit. Like you've got to hone in on your resilience and grit to get through hardship. So like, yes, for sure, God will carry you all the way through, but also stepping into that and having the resilience to get through the difficult things that come up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just love your story, Katie, because it just shows the awesomeness of God, and how it doesn't matter what hardships we go through. Those are hard. Those are messy and difficult. But by faith and by the grace of God, we can come out of those and have hope and see God work in so many greater ways than we ever thought before. And your life is a total representation of that hope in Christ. That despite going through work difficulties and life difficulties that you never ever want to really face, but you faced it, and God created beautiful things and gave you the grace to continue in your dreams. And I just am so happy to have this conversation with you and hear that story. And I hope that people were able to hear that hope and be inspired to continue taking steps to start in their dreams too. And tell everyone where they can find you and how they can get in touch with you.
And thank you. That is so kind. And thank you. And again, such an honor to be here and on your podcast today. And you can find me on Instagram at Escape the Clinic, and my podcast on all the podcasting platforms is Escape the Clinic. My website is under construction as of right now, but you can find all the details and anything else on Instagram. And thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. It was such a pleasure to talk to you and such an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you all for listening. And I hope that you are inspired and you find hope in the mess, in the hardships of life, that you find that there is a way to find hope. There's a way to spark hope in your communities and in your lives and your families. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a sense of connection in the stories we shared today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram and all the socials. We'd love for you to join a community of like-minded individuals passionate about making a difference through medicine, motherhood, and mission work. Remember, whether you're balancing the demands of a medical career, navigating the joys and challenges of parenthood, or dedicating yourself to a cause greater than yourself, you're not alone. We're here to support you, celebrate, and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep healing, keep nurturing, and keep sparking hope. This is Johanna signing off from Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions.